Hello everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes in Sarasota, Florida. I'm your Corvette guy, Lyle, here to share more interesting and exciting information about Corvettes with you. Our first video of 2023, we just crossed 37,000 subscribers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope that this year we can get past 50, that's my goal. And if you enjoy this channel and you're already subscribed, hey, if you're not, subscribe. Helps me, keeps me helping you. If you are subscribed and you have friends with Corvettes who are interested in Corvettes, make sure to turn them on to our channel so they can get some of this helpful information and enjoy the interesting world of Corvettes, because I really want to expand our reach a little bit, which will allow us to do more, and you are the one that can help us do that. We have a very exciting video today because on January 17th, just a few days ago, GM introduced the much anticipated Corvette E-RAY for 2024. Let's break down some of what they told us about this car and see what we can discern about what it is and what it isn't. It is the first hybrid Corvette. Now, normally when we think of hybrids, we think of Priuses in the parking lot of Whole Foods. That's not what this is about. This car is a hybrid strictly for performance. I guarantee when the EPA mileage comes out, it is not going to be dramatically different, maybe even not at all different from what we're seeing from the Corvette C8 Stingray right now. This is a hybrid in the vein of, let's add an electric motor to make this all-wheel drive and make it quicker and make it handle better in all weather conditions. The first cars to really do this in the mainstream were what are known as the Holy Trinity. That would be the Ferrari LaFerrari, pictured here, the Porsche 918, pictured here, and of course the McLaren P1, my personal favorite. That was a beast of a car. All of these cars shared similar but different systems to the new E-RAY. Basically, the internal combustion engine, the 495 horse V8, is still sitting behind you in the E-RAY, but you have batteries that line the tunnel between the driver and the passenger, powering a 160 horsepower electric motor driving the front wheels. So this is about making the car all-wheel drive and making it immediate acceleration when you hit the pedal. There's a bunch of different things about this system that we'll get into a little bit, but if you think LaFerrari 918, P1, E-RAY, they're all kind of birds of a feather. So, you know, again, we know that Chevrolet used the Ferrari 458 as the blueprint for what became the Z06, and that I think is going to work out really, really well. I think using some of these other supercar, hypercar, hybrid system ideas in the new E-RAY is also probably going to work out very well, at least as far as performance. Sales, we'll have to see. We'll talk about why in a second. It's important to know that there is no plug-in with the E-RAY. This system simply recharges from the engine and from the braking system, so you don't ever have to plug it in. You don't have to have a charging box. You don't ever have to do any of that. It's very, very simple. You just drive the car. The more you drive the car, the harder you drive the car, and depending on which of the 6 performance modes you have the car in, it is either going to be constantly charging and using the front electric motor to help drive the car. If you go into Charge Plus mode, then it is not using the front motor at all. It is just using all the kinetic energy that the car can gather from the braking system and the engine to charge the batteries to keep them at optimum full charge. This is something that's very useful, say if you have the car on a longer racetrack like a Sebring that's 3.7 miles long, you can use that in the straights to charge up the battery to use on other parts of the course. Pretty neat idea. So this electric motor is only about the size of a 12-pack of soda, right? Soda. 12-pack. So it doesn't change the front trunk. It doesn't change anything else in the car. In fact, if you walked up to this car, opened both ends, you wouldn't know that it was a hybrid. Okay, that's all kind of hidden underneath the car and under the cowling and the bodywork. They didn't have to modify anything because, as they've told us, this was planned from the very beginning for this platform, which is pretty cool. It's nice to see GM, you know, like thinking ahead and stuff. Pretty cool. The let's talk performance. This is the quickest vehicle GM has ever made. That doesn't mean it has the highest top speed. That means that it is the fastest off the line and fastest accelerating vehicle that GM has ever made. What does that boil down to? That is 2.5 seconds, 0 to 60. That's very, very fast. And it also does the quarter mile in 10.5 seconds. You know, it wasn't that long ago that a 10-second car was like, holy crap, that's fast. If you remember the Fast and Furious movies, Paul Walker's character owes a debt to Vin Diesel's character, and he promises him a 10-second car because, man, if you got a 10-second car, that's fast. Well, it is fast. It's just, in today's age, 10.5 seconds is still blisteringly fast, but it's not unheard of fast. The fact that it comes in an American production car that is all-wheel drive, that's what's cool. Some of the other things you get with the E-Ray are you get the wider Z06 body. So it's 3.6 inches wider at the rear and has a much more aggressive look than the basic Stingray. They also are trying to go, as in their words, for a more sophisticated look and looking for a more sophisticated customer with this car because of its all-weather usability and the fact that it is going to be considerably more expensive than the base Corvette. They've gone with more body-colored trim. You know that the C8 Stingray and the Z06 have lots of black highlights, what we call carbon flash highlights around the car. This one, if you see the pictures here that I posted, you can see it's a much more monochrome look. They're trying to make it look a little more staid because they're billing this as their grand touring car. This is not the track-focused boy racer, sheer performance car that the Z06 is. This is supposed to be the comfortable long road trip in any weather conditions car, which is cool. When they talk about a more sophisticated audience that they're shooting for, I think you can probably picture something like the Audi R8 Quattro that they are kind of aiming for, because they're still going to be able to come in about 30 or 40 or 50 grand under a comparable new R8 with this car. There are, let's see, what else can I tell you? The active handling system is specific to the all-wheel driving car. The car does come with a bunch of really cool options as standard that otherwise are very, very expensive. For example, it comes with carbon ceramic brakes. That's part of the $9,000 Z07 option on the new Z06. That is included with this car when you buy it. You don't have to check a box, it's just in there. This does have a softer suspension setup for grand touring. So again, more pleasure driving long distance than serious track work. Not to say this car won't be a beast at the track. It will, but it's also going to be a lot more comfortable to live with day to day. There is something called stealth mode on this car, where you can run just the electric motor completely silently up to 45 miles an hour for a few miles, depending on your battery charge. So if you're coming into your gated community at 3 in the morning and you don't want to wake the neighbors, you can just kind of stealthily creep in, put your car in the garage, and no one will ever know. Fuel economy, as I said, is basically unchanged. The coupe base pricing starts at $104,295. Now, to someone of my age and my history, I look at that and go, holy God, that's expensive. But when I think that a new Camry, nicely loaded, costs about 45 grand, I get it. You're getting a lot for your money here, especially compared to other things available in the market today. The convertible starts at $111,295, and there's going to be a bunch of different options. You're going to be able to dress it up, put carbon fiber on it, do all kinds of stuff. GM hasn't announced pricing on those options yet. I'm sure that'll be forthcoming in the next couple of weeks or months. I am excited for this car in that it is going to make the Corvette usable all over the country using all-weather tires for many, many more people than have ever been able to drive their Corvette year-round before. You know, even careful drivers who know what they're doing up north tend to put their Corvettes away because A, they don't want salt all over them, B, they just can't trust them on slippery, snow-laden surfaces. This car is going to be a different animal. You know, the promo videos that some of you may have seen online of this car is they're drifting in the snow in a frozen lake with this car, and they're doing quite well with it. So it's going to be very capable of being more or less a year-round car, making it more a reliable piece of transportation than a expensive toy. That's important. What does this portend for the future? Well, at this same unveiling, GM talked about briefly, without giving any details, there's going to be an all-electric Corvette coming out in the next couple of years. We don't have many details about it. We don't even know if it's going to look like the existing C8 yet. But I'll be interested to see what the public reception is on that, because I think even the most open-minded Corvette buyer still wants the rumble and the song of that V8 behind them. I don't know that a fully electric Corvette is going to find a market that they're hoping for it to find. And again, time will tell, and we'll do a video about that when we know more, but I just don't see it at this point. I know that they are basically bound, they have to make one because everybody's going to electric, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Put them in the comments below. Do you think an all-electric Corvette, a plug-in, is going to be something that can be marketed and successfully sold to the current Corvette market? I don't know. Tell me what your thoughts are. Also, they talked about which they won't even name this car, an even further iteration of high horsepower. They're talking anywhere from 800 to 950 horses in what has been nicknamed the Zora for Zora Arcus Duntov, or the replacement for the ZR1 in the C8 range. That's still 2, 3, 4 years off, but that car is supposed to be the hottest thing ever made. I'm sure it's going to be ridiculously expensive, but I can't wait to hear the details about it. And as I learn more, I'll share it with you. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a really great week. I'll be back to you next week with more interesting stuff. Thank you for watching.